Welcome to WCWP Reports. I'm Dylan Valek, and this program is dedicated to bringing you interesting and compelling stories produced by journalism and broadcasting students of Long Island University's Post Campus. This week, Jada Butler reports on George Floyd protests on Long Island. Shannon Miller on when we can eat out again. And Elise Pearson shares how a lacrosse coach found a way to reach players during the pandemic. Citizens of Long Island added their voices to the many across the country protesting police brutality after the death of George Floyd. Jada Butler reports.
Chants of "Don't shoot" amid blaring car horns and cheers filled the air in Brentwood as Long Island citizens protested for justice for George Floyd on Saturday, May 30th. Floyd, an unarmed black man, was apprehended by police and killed in broad daylight by Officer Derek Chauvin, who had his knee on Floyd's throat for more than 8 minutes. A video of the encounter went viral, and Chauvin, who was arrested days after, is charged with second-degree murder, and 3 other ex-cops are charged with aiding and abetting in the second degree. On Twitter, 25-year-old protester Anthony Torres wrote, "We are coming together in anguish and anger to demand justice for those killed by police violence, and to make this a place of liberty and justice for all, with the hashtags Black Lives Matter and Justice for George Floyd." Torres, who protested many times in the past, says protest Saturday was the largest he had seen on the island, and that there was an atmosphere of unity.
We should live in a place where freedom and where human value is seen in each and every one of us, and that we can make this a place where all of our rights are respected.
The Brentwood protest was organized by a group of various local college alumni and was attended by more than 400 people. Participants wore all black in solidarity and also wore masks and adhered to social distancing during the 4-hour protest. Organizers say they wanted to make a point of having a peaceful protest in memoriam. Yet police were seen laughing and flexing in their gear at protesters. Torres says the show of the police did not make people feel safe, and that needs to change.
What we are trying to do and what we must do is to make Long Island and make America a place where all of us can go about our lives without fear of those who are supposed to serve us, and that we can actually build a future, reconcile the past, and create communities where every single person is cared for.
After several days of protests in New York City, 22-year-old Sharon Nicole believed Long Island needed to gather one of their own. Sharon, one of the organizers for the Brentwood event, was inspired to bridge her own Latina community with the Black Lives Matter movement. She said, "I wanted to make Latinos aware that they contribute a lot to the oppression of Black people. We also drive the idea of anti-Blackness in our community." As a Latina, Sharon wanted to address the internalized racism they experience and begin having those conversations.
Latinos stand with Black lives. We stand with you guys. This is our fight too. Brown lives are also at risk too. I come from a family of brown people. I am white passing, but I understand. I might not be in that position, but I am angry for them. And I want to use whatever privilege I have since I went to college, have a bachelor's degree. I want to use my privilege and I want to use my voice to educate other Latinos, non-Black Latinos especially, that we need to fight for them.
Sharon and her fellow organizers plan to create a Facebook group to continue spreading awareness online, as well as hosting more events in the future. Unlike the other cities across the country where protests have devolved into violence and aggression from police with the use of tear gas and rubber bullets, Sharon said the people of Brentwood were able to maintain the peace. Another protest in Mineola on Monday yielded similar results. Nearly 2,500 people in attendance occupied the lawn outside the Nassau County Executive Building. Over 20 speakers prepared stories, and hundreds of people marched while others took a knee. Deanna DeVudiazel, who organized the protest in Mineola, said it was energetic and that they stayed on message.
It was just extremely inspiring because I grew up in Long Island and I never thought I would see the day when so many people of every age and every race and from every corner of Nassau stood together to say definitively that Black Lives Matter.
In some cities, many officers joined in protest, taking a knee with protesters, including Nassau County Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder. Yet de Boudiezel said this is an act of empty symbolism without action.
Taking a knee is supposed to be a symbolic act. It's supposed to symbolize that you believe that Black Lives Matter. And what's most important are not gestures, superficial gestures. What's most important is the action that is taken to back up that supposed symbolism. And so what we need is legislation passed that will hold our police accountable, that will make excessive use of force tracked, that will really ensure that there's accountability.
De Boudiezel and the Young Progressives of Nassau County, a group she co-leads and founded, will push for this action through legislative change. Members of the group encourage people to call their senators and assemblymen to repeal a section of the 50-A Civil Rights Law, which hides police records from the public and makes them inadmissible in court. The group also wants to create independent NYPD disciplinary action commissions and a state office of special investigations to investigate criminal acts by police. They are also pushing to pass the Stat Bill, which tracks the use of excessive force by police officers. In other parts of Long Island, tensions were high between citizens. In Merrick on Tuesday, protesters' chants of Black Lives Matter clashed with anti-protesters shouting, "Go home, go west," and other expletives. Sherry Einhorn of News 12 Long Island reported on Twitter that protesters marching were halted by police before going down Merrick Road as a safety measure. 1 block away, there were about 25 community members standing in opposition. A few draped themselves in American flags and were not wearing protective masks. Police were able to separate the two parties and allowed protesters to march on. Many residents of Merrick took to social media after the encounter, saying the behavior from the people of Merrick was disgraceful and that it, quote, reeks of racism and hatred. Organizers of the original protest shared that they will have more planned in the future and aim to keep the location from those who are only trying to stop them from exercising their rights. Protests across the nation now reach their second week. In some cities, they are becoming more peaceful in nature, while in others more violent, as National Guard are deployed to assist police. With new and stated curfews limiting who can stay outside, police are issuing mass arrests, with more than 2,000 arrests in New York City this week. Protesters are encouraged to head home before curfew to avoid arrest. For WCWP Reports, I'm Jada Butler.
After a few hurdles and 2 long months at home, Long Island residents who are anxious to have a meal served to them at a local restaurant, Shannon Miller reports.
Governor Andrew Cuomo announced Wednesday that outdoor dining will be permitted in Phase 2 of New York's coronavirus reopening plan. The state entered Week 2 of Phase 1 Wednesday, and if Long Island continues its downward trend, Phase 2 is just a week away. According to Governor Cuomo, the reopening of local restaurants will give a boost to owners desperate to restart after months of trying to survive through the pandemic. Nassau County Executive Laura Curran said municipalities can apply for permits to close county roads through the Department of Public Works online and can expect a fast-track response within 7 days.
The municipality can put, for instance, tables on the street. And then restaurants, using the same protocols that they've been using throughout the pandemic, can then deliver the food to the table.
Farmingdale Village Mayor Ralph Elkstrand applied for the permit and rolled out the village's plan to open street dining right away. Village restaurants moved their tables and chairs outside Friday, bringing over 1,500 customers to eat and walk along Main Street, but the mayor jumped the gun. Nassau County fire marshals showed up and told the village's 45 restaurants to shut it all down, stating that the tables and chairs had to belong to the village and not the individual restaurants. Outdoor tables on village sidewalks were also not permitted. Warnings were given and no citations were issued.
We in the village thought we conformed to every single rule. We had the tables spaced out 6 feet apart. Everybody was wearing masks. The people in the restaurant had gloves. Everything was done perfectly except for the caveat.
At the time, outdoor dining was considered non-essential and fell under Phase 3 of the state's reopening plan. The easiest fix was to make outdoor dining part of Phase 2. Hempstead Town Supervisor Don Clavin called the ordeal an example of the government getting in the way. He and county officials recognized that communities want to support their local downtowns and that restaurants deserve to reopen their doors before it's too late.
And when it comes to our local restaurants, in the last 3 months, think of what they've done. They've reinvented their businesses. They've done curbside pickup, takeout. And when it came to feeding essential workers, many of these restaurants did the right thing and did right by the public and all those first responders out there. And just a few weeks ago in the town of Hemp, they all deserve recognition for that.
Some owners, like Peter Mangaranis, the owner of the Good Life in Massapequa Park, said he lost 70% of his business since the shutdown began.
We need some type of certainty, something to look forward to. We're just doing whatever it takes to break even.
Others say they're running out of time as they struggle to figure out how and where to spend their paycheck protection loans before time runs out. Under the Small Business Association's rules, participants in the PPP program can have the loans forgiven if they use at least 75% of the money for payroll expenses within 8 weeks. Otherwise, they must repay the loans within 2 years. Newsday reporter James Medore explains.
Unfortunately, many of the businesses that we've interviewed are not open, so they're paying employees to stay at home and do no work. When they tell us if they could spend the money later, it would really help their business. Several business owners we spoke to said they don't know when they're going to reopen their business, and they don't know if they can repay the loan in 2 years.
Small business owners on Long Island want Congress to overturn regulations they say make PPP loans unhelpful. The Small Business Association's Inspector General says both of these rules violate the intent of the federal law that established the PPP program. As long as both Nassau and Suffolk counties continue to see COVID numbers decline, residents can look forward to uninterrupted outdoor dining beginning next Wednesday. For WCWP Reports, I'm Shannon Miller.
A Long Island local and professional lacrosse athlete continues to grow the game, even through coronavirus restrictions. Elise Pearson reports.
Long Island local and professional women's lacrosse player Kylie Ohlmiller hosted an online 90-minute lacrosse clinic on May 16th after the COVID-19 pandemic canceled all in-person clinics. Ohlmiller's clinic was streamed worldwide through Zoom and was available to any age and skill level. The clinic was made up of drills athletes can do from home, while Ohlmiller demonstrated in her backyard through Zoom.
I was doing the drill or whatever I wanted them to do. They'd all their faces would be at the screen watching it happen, and then I'd give them a certain amount of reps to go do. They'd all go into their own respective areas, and I could kind of sit here at my screen and watch each of their individual boxes.
Because the clinic was online, Ohlmiller was able to cater to multiple skill sets to participants across the globe. Ohlmiller had a 27-year-old in Germany and in the tryout process for the German national team tune in to the same clinic as those as young as 4th grade. However, Ohlmiller was able to modify or advance the drills to match the specific player's skill levels.
So they're on the same clinic and they're kind of going through the same things that we're kind of teaching, and there's no harm to anybody, right? Like it could be at her level, it could be at the other girl's level. I think that's been the coolest part about it for me, is that it's kind of an all-age experience.
The clinic participants had to pay a $20 fee in order to log into Ohlmiller's clinic. However, Ohlmiller wanted to help in the fight against COVID-19 and decided to donate half the money raised to the hunger relief organization, Feeding America.
I wanted to make sure that we could do some sort of part in helping and in giving back and making sure that we're out there getting our reps, but also helping in the fight in any way we can.
While the coronavirus pandemic continues on, Ohlmiller is continuing to build and expand her brand, KO17. She just released a new app titled KO17 Lacrosse. The app allows Ohlmiller to get more personalized experiences and connect with players more regularly.
It's pretty cool because I'm getting the chance to, kind of give these girls feedback on videos that they send me. We're doing weekly Zoom clinics now that are free for subscribers, and just all sorts of different things that are keeping girls into the game and giving me a chance to connect with them.
As for clinics in the future, Ohlmiller plans to soon announce another 90-minute clinic, this time with friends from the professional lacrosse world and old teammates from Stony Brook University.
I'm just going to kind of continue doing these types of things, making sure that the girls are out there touching their sticks and getting their reps, and also just bringing in some of my really awesome new friends, bringing in different perspective, different coaching abilities, and kind of also doing our part to help the fight right now so that we can all get back there, out there on the lacrosse field sooner rather than later.
For WCWP Reports, I'm Elise Person.
Thank you for tuning in to WCWP Reports. For LIU Public Radio, I'm Dylan Vallet.